on the Eightfold Path. Last week we started with the Four Noble Truths, and the Eightfold Path is the fourth of those Four Noble Truths. I want to bring up a little chart just to back up what I'm about to say. So I hope you can both see that. So the Buddha awakened to dependent origination, which states from ignorance through 12 observable causative links, all manner of suffering arises. And what he's referring to is the first factor of the Four Noble Truths, that dukkha occurs, or suffering arises. And the second noble truth is that craving originates, clinging perpetuates the suffering. The third noble truth is that it's possible to bring that process to a cessation. And the fourth noble truth is that the Eightfold Path is the path developing the cessation of all manner of suffering. So beginning with the first two factors are known as the wisdom factors of right view and right intention. Right view is the entry point into the Dhamma. It's initially an acknowledgement that there's some understanding that we're lacking in our lives. And specifically, that is an understanding of the truth of human existence, the Four Noble Truths. Right intention then relates very closely to the second noble truth, that craving originates and clinging perpetuates suffering. So right intention is the intention to recognize and abandon craving and clinging. The next three factors are known as the virtuous factors of right speech, right action, and right livelihood. And not so much as a strict moral code, when we are mindful of these three factors, of the virtuous factors, it shows very clearly where our craving and clinging arises. So in all three of these virtuous factors, the overriding intention is to remain harmless to ourselves and to others. So right speech would be abstaining from gossip, abstaining from unnecessary speech, abstaining from lying, abstaining from idle speech, and right action falls right along with that. Right livelihood is a little bit of an interesting factor for me of the Eightfold Path. When I first came across the Eightfold Path, and I read about right livelihood, I didn't quite understand why that was why there was some significance put on right livelihood until I read a little bit more into the Pali Canon, and I realized that the Buddha was addressing a common human problem that otherwise harmless and honest people, when it came time to put food on a table and take care of their families and themselves, they might start stretching the truth a little bit and start cutting corners. And so that's an important factor to remember, that third factor. The next factor is right effort, the sixth factor of the Eightfold Path. And that reminds us that we need to put in the time to meditate, to develop a meditation practice, and also to develop a broader understanding of the Eightfold Path, and begin to integrate the Eightfold Path as the framework for our Dhamma practice, and ultimately as the framework for how we live our lives. The seventh factor is right mindfulness, and by the use of the term right, and you can also use the term skillful or appropriate, but by using those terms, the implication is that there is an application of mindfulness that can be distracting and sometimes hurtful. And the best example of that is compulsive or addictive thinking. Mindfulness means to hold in mind or to recollect. And so we can do that with anything. And certainly addictive or compulsive thinking is holding in mind very hurtful and sometimes life-threatening behavior. So the mindfulness that the Buddha taught, the right mindfulness, he taught it mindfulness in two very specific applications. One is the four foundations of mindfulness that we use primarily in meditation, but not exclusively. And that's to be mindful of the breath in the body, or simply to bring ourselves into our body, and to be mindful that feelings arise and feelings drive thoughts, and thoughts arise and sometimes thoughts drive feelings. And to understand and observe that process, and how that process of feelings interacting with thoughts results in the fourth foundation of mindfulness, or the quality of our mind. The other application of mindfulness that the Buddha taught was to be mindful of each factor of the Eightfold Path, to hold in mind these factors. Initially, it takes a while to develop the ability to hold these factors in mind, and that leads us to the eighth factor of the Eightfold Path, or right meditation. So meditation is primarily for deepening our concentration so that we can hold in mind the other 7 factors of the Eightfold Path. And that becomes a complete practice, all 8 factors working together. The Buddha taught Shamatha-Vipassana meditation for deepening our concentration. And it's the only meditation that he taught for the 45 years of his teaching career. He did teach other things that are often called meditation, but those are more accurately described as contemplations. So we use meditation to deepen concentration so that we can hold in mind the entire Eightfold Path. And it's that Eightfold Path that brings the cessation of suffering. So you'll notice in the bottom of that little chart that the Buddha's quote that he said repeatedly throughout his life, this one is from the Samyutta Nikaya 5611. The Buddha said that I teach the arising of suffering and the cessation of suffering, nothing more. And at first that seems very simplistic, but when you understand and really penetrate the nature of suffering, you realize that that is a common human problem. And it's really the distraction that's caused by chasing after the things that we want and avoiding anything that would bring us displeasure that takes us out of what's occurring in this moment and keeps us distracted throughout our lives. So when the Buddha awakened, he sat in meditation off and on for another 2 weeks, considering whether it was possible to teach human beings how to awaken, and most importantly, if there was a way to pierce what he understood as a common human problem of conditioned thinking. And that's why he developed the Eightfold Path, to interrupt and ultimately bring a cessation to all conditioned thinking. And so it's the conditioned thinking that we've all developed that causes our minds to react to events, to react to situations that are engaging to the senses and we want to chase more because it makes us feel good, or to avoid anything, to create aversion over things that bring us displeasure. And that is the main reason why the Eightfold Path, and it's really what set the Buddhist teaching apart from other teachings at his time. And unfortunately, in modern Buddhism, there's such a diminishing of the recognition of the usefulness of the Eightfold Path as a path for awakening that it's often not even recognized, or it's just given a cursory look. When in fact, the Eightfold Path is the entire Buddhist teaching. So that's really enough for the talk today, and we'll meditate for 20 minutes. I see that there's somebody else has joined us. Lynn, Lynn, welcome. It's nice to have you here. And again, if any of you would like to participate and join us on screen, just let me know. And so I'll give you a second. If you have any questions about the talk today, please come on screen. Just let me know you'd like to, or just send me a talk, and type in your question. I'll just give you a few minutes, and then we'll meditate. Okay, everybody's good. Everybody has the Dhamma down. So let's meditate. We'll have a 20-minute Shamatha-Vipassana meditation. So gently close your eyes and gently close your mouths. And take a moment to become aware of the sensation of breathing in your body. Just get a feel for what it's like to be mindful of your breath in your body. And while remaining mindful of your breath in your body, notice that thoughts are flowing. We're conscious beings, thoughts should be flowing. The purpose of Shamatha-Vipassana meditation is to not be distracted by our own thoughts. So when you find that you're caught up in your thinking again, simply acknowledge that and return your mindfulness to the sensation of breathing. Putting aside thoughts as they arise, remaining mindful of your breathing. And we'll meditate for 20 minutes. There'll be callbacks every 5 minutes. Relaxing your thoughts, remaining mindful of your breathing. Relaxing thoughts, remaining mindful of our breathing. Not following a thought with a thought, remaining mindful of our breathing. If a persistent thought or feeling arises, stay with it for a moment or two, recognize it as impermanent, and return your mindfulness to the sensation of breathing. And we'll meditate for 5 more minutes. Take a moment to notice the quality of your mind. Be at peace with your mind. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. So I'd like to give you an opportunity to join me on screen and ask any questions or make any comments. And if you have a webcam and a mic, please do so. So I'm gonna start with Tracy and ask Tracy to join me. And I'm going to ask Lynn. And Ernest. Well, thank you for joining me today. We're giving the Dhamma Stream Sangha a good start. We'll finish with metta in just a second, but I'd also ask you to. There you are. Is that Lynn?
That's Lynn. Hey, John.
Oh, wow.
I am a terrible Luddite. I apologize for being late. I really could not find you, but there you are.
Yeah. I'm so glad you could join it. How did you enjoy the class?
I came in 2 minutes late, but it was material I've heard you cover before, so I enjoyed the refresher. Thank you. Yeah,
just basic stuff. Next week, we're going to be talking about the not self characteristic, and then we'll get into dependent origination. But it seems like this technology is new to me too, so I'm getting used to it. So I'm glad you could join me on screen and see how that works. And it's nice to meet you face to face.
Yes, well, I've seen your face, but
yeah,
seen mine. So it's very, very great to be here, and I'm so happy that I was able to get this worked out so I could participate.
Yeah, and I know we had two other folks, Tracy and Ernest. I don't know if they had the capability to join us on screen, but it's wonderful technology. It's nice to be able to build this Sangha and to join with some of my students. So we're going to continue to do this. Yeah, so I'd encourage all of you that joined today, if you have any questions or comments about the broadcast or any suggestions, just send me an email. Let me know how it was for you and if I can improve it in any way. But this is a pretty nice thing to be able to do. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna finish with metta. You can stay on screen if you want, Lynn, while I finish the class with metta.
Okay, as long as the background noises won't be a distraction.
I don't think so. It sounds good to me.
Okay.
So my dog is getting excited. He says class is over, but so again, we could gently close your eyes and gently close your mouths and take a moment to become aware of the sensation of breathing in your body and let that mindfulness of your breath cease any thoughts that may be distracting to the past or to the future, or that may have arisen from our talk today. And the Karaniya Metta Sutta shows that the most loving and compassionate action that anyone can take is to engage wholeheartedly with the direct teachings of the Buddha and awaken. And these are the Buddha's words on metta. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward, and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties, and frugal in their ways. Peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud or demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing, in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short, or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings. radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will. Whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Thank you all for joining me today. Peace.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, Lynn. Thanks for joining me. I hope to see you all next week. Take care.
I'll be here if I can manage the technology.
Yeah, we're all getting used to it, but it's wonderful. So thanks for joining me.
Thank you, John.
Talk to you all soon.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.